Okay, in this video, I'm going to walk through on how to use our Near Me feature to deploy hyperlocal websites into all of your service areas that you support. If you're a home improvement contractor or a lawyer or a chiropractor, you have limitations based on your visibility on Google based on your physical address. And a lot of these businesses will go 50 miles, 75 miles outside their physical address to service their clients. And to receive visibility on Google or other search engines, you have to optimize your site for those specific cities. Traditionally, you would build service-oriented pages. Oftentimes, they're static, very difficult to manage, and they're typically only one page. And so if you offer many different services and solutions, you're losing that additional content or additional optimization to have those pages indexed. And of course, it's just time consuming to create all those pages. With our system, you can actually set this up and deploy automatically. And so it'll build out all your sites for you. And these are full-blown sites. So all your internal pages, everything is deployed for a specific city. And any change that you make gets deployed out to those individual city pages. And so there's a lot of customization you can do with it. At the root of it, the concept is deploying hyperlocal websites for your business. However, in other trainings, you'll learn that you can expand that beyond for franchise websites, agent-based organization websites, a lot of different options that you can have with our base template and Near Me technology and how to use that. So why don't we jump right in? So the first thing to get to this stage, you actually have to build a website in our platform. So you can either build from one of our templates, or you can import a site that you currently have into our platform to start leveraging this feature functionality. I went ahead and built a quick little simple website here. This is built on our Bootstrap theme. I just basically used the elements that we have, created a simple little homepage, and added a data form. Data forms in our system are ways to collect leads from your website, so your opt-in forms. And you can also embed those in external websites. So I've already created this website, added a service page, didn't really go too much further into it for this example, but just imagine you have your site completely set up within the platform. So there's tons of tags in our platform. You can create custom tags. You can add, personalization from profiles and users and things like that. And so those additional training videos will walk you through this. For this example, all I want to do is dynamically change the content for a specific city that I'm deploying this in. And so in this example, let's say this business is in Austin, Texas. Well, within a 50-mile radius of Austin, Texas, there's actually 54 cities that most contractors will support within that 50-mile radius. So first step is to start applying our pre-built internal tags that you can leverage to dynamically change. And those are city and state tags. You can do zip, address, phone, site names, custom tags. There's a lot in here. But for this example, I'm going to optimize this site based on the city and location. So I do want to address duplicate content. A lot of individuals who have either seen this type of technology or talk about, optimizing a service-oriented page, creating unique content for every single city that you support is good, right? It's no doubt if you have a dedicated site with different content, it's great. However, time is money, and of course, just the management of those, especially if you service a whole state or even the whole country, creating dynamic content or unique content for each individual city level page is unnecessary, right? So to further explain duplicate content, the penalty around duplicate content is creating sites or pages out there that are the exact same, targeting the exact same keyword searches. So Google is going to filter those out, pick the best source that they think is the most relevant or original content from that duplicate content that they found, and the rest are not going to show up on that search, right? And so if you think of that as a penalty, another example is if you launch a press release, right? You don't want your user, Google doesn't want the searcher to make a search online and see 10 different links, click on them, and they're all the same press release on different sources, right? So Google's going to weed all those out and leave the most original, best quality content. That's the exact same concept here. However, we only want one page or one section of our site or an entire site dedicated to a specific city. So all the local searches, the proximity searches, the optimization you do is all relevant to that specific city and state. You don't need to waste your time building a bunch of different unique content. Now you can go in, and what's great about this is you can deploy the near me feature functionality, deploy these hyperlocal websites, and go in after the fact and make changes or add additional content. You're still connected to our template system, and our template system will push out additional content such as the design changes and things like that, and not override your local changes. However, I've been doing this a very long time. From every single update on Google you can possibly imagine, if you optimize your site properly with the local optimization and the dynamic tags, you'll never have an issue, and you'll always have the ability to rank these local sites. So in our platform, you can create base sites, and I mentioned that at the very beginning. So you're going to come over here to controls, you're going to click on templates, and you're going to click on funnels. This is where you're going to actually create that site. And I mentioned you either can use a template within our platform, or you can import your own template into this platform and use it. But once you have your site designed, you're going to begin optimizing it. And in this example, I definitely want a city and state tag in this section, on the hero above the fold. Really throughout the site on your homepage, depending on the length of your content, you're going to want 5 to 7 references of the local city and state. And so you just got to get creative as far as how you want to position the city and state within your text. In this example, I'm just going to fly through it. I'm not going to really put too much thought into where I want it. I just want it to read good. So here I'm going to say reliable contractors, and I'm going to just put the city tag. So I'm putting city here. And this tag, matter of fact, I'll just put in the state as well. Right, so this city and state tag will dynamically change based on the next site that you deploy in the cities, and we'll show you when you get to that piece within the deployment. Use as a team, I'm going to put it here as well. I'll just put a comma for this one. And next door contractor, take care of you like a neighbor. And I'm just going to leave it like that, right? So, and then free contractor estimate, I'm going to put in... city, can't type today, city. And as I mentioned, there's tons of different tags that you can use to dynamically change this stuff. There's also custom tags you can create, right? So if you want to have a totally unique and different text here, but you want to let that be controlled by the profile, you can create profile tags, you can create individual website tags. So your possibilities of customizing this entire site based on these content tags, it's unlimited, really. I mean, the potential of doing that. So I'm going to go through here. I will say your Austin home or your city home. Get a little bit further down here. So I like to try to put it in every single sub or snippet of text and paragraph with the home improvement work that we do for you, and city, comma state, and the last one, done mistakes assessment, complete the home improvement work to the highest standards. So this one, I may need to rework the content just for the sake of this demo. I'm not going to put any tags in there. So you can see there's other tags here such as company, and you really can do some unique customization on here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then now I'm going to go into the service page that I created just for the sample here. Our goal is to provide a wide range of high quality remodeling services in city, state. So I'm just going to leave it that. But you get the idea. You're going to come in, you're going to put in all your different tags all the way throughout. Again, 5 to 7. You don't want to be overbearing. You don't need to be overbearing, but you do want to ensure that the top above the fold has enough of them. Anywhere you can place in these snippets, place it in, and just throughout the site, just continue to put those tags just so it's not overbearing, but enough. And you can also do it for your alt tags, right? So all your alt tags here, you can put them within here, the tags. I love labeling my images and putting alt tags with the city, state in there. So, and again, you could, from buttons to everything. So let me go ahead and save this. So now let's assume this site is set up It's all fully optimized on the copy. Now you're going to want to go in and do the optimization on the SEO standpoint or the meta description. This is probably the most important component of setting this up before you deploy anything. Further in this video, I'll show you how to get these indexed. But if you're going to launch any type of near me site, make sure you've done optimization not only on the content, but also on the meta structure or the meta title and description. Why that's important is when you get indexed, that's like your first crack at telling Google that, hey, I only want to be pulled up for this specific city and for these specific keywords, right? Based on the content that I have. And if Google indexes your site before you've done any of that optimization, or your meta title and your description's not set up, it goes back to what I said earlier about the duplicate content piece. Now your site is not going to be visible for the root keywords, which we don't want. We only want them visible for the specific local cities. And so now you have to apply that, optimization and then resubmit. And it's just a process that's unnecessary. It doesn't hurt you. It just takes a bit to get reorganized or re-indexed by Google based on the optimization that we're trying to achieve here. So in this case, I would likely just do a comma here and put city, state. I use pipes, I use commas. However you want to do it. Need to improve your Austin home. Use the home improvement contractors all your Austin, Texas neighbors use. So I would say it's less. Obviously you're going to want the city and state wrapped near the keywords that you're targeting. But again, it's the overall content, right? So when Google scans your site, someone's making a proximity search and it's a keyword that's actually pulling up proximity results, such as a remodeler or roofer or landscaper. Obviously, you have enough content on your site to show that you're a landscaper, but you also have enough references of the city and state to give you that proximity result. So it's not just being pulled up when they put the city and state in. This is giving you an opportunity being pulled out when the city and state is not existent and a proximity search is actually showing. So all the optimization on your meta structure on the page level, it's the same thing. So I'm going to go into my services page and I will go ahead and apply a services or server side optimization. Let me go ahead and grab this real quick. Okay. So here, again, just going to replace the Austin, Texas with city, comma, state. Oops. Make sure you have the right tag. And one more. Replace that. Actually, I'm going to apply the state there. But you get the idea. So you're going to want to make sure you have your tags in here and everything is all set. Once you come in and do that, you are good to go. So in the next part of this, we're going to actually deploy these local sites and show you how to do that directly within the back end. Okay, now that you have your site completed, you have all of your tags inserted into the copy, you have the tags in the meta title and the meta description. You now need to add a domain to the base site within the system. And to do that, you need to go to the settings section. So if you're here with your funnel, you can just click, or your website, you can click this menu here and click on settings. Or if you're inside the actual builder, you can click on this icon here. And then you're going to want to click on the branding tab. So if you've not watched the video on how to add a domain to our system to use it within a website or use it within branding the backend, do watch that video, but you will want to add your domain under settings and domains here. Make sure SSL is installed and all set up. You're basically going to set up your DNS, point your domain to us, and then now you can use it throughout the system. In this case, I already have a domain pointing to us, and I'm going to set it as a subdomain. Now, it doesn't need to be a subdomain. It can be anything you want, any domain that you like to add to the system. In this example, I just did a subdomain. Once you add the domain, you'll get a little green checkbox up here that it's good to go. And I'll just show you that real quick. So in this case, I removed the domain and now I've added. You don't need to do any other steps as long as the domain is pointing to us. You now installed your domain and your site is now live. So if I were to go out to this site on this domain, here's a site that we just designed and set up. Now you'll notice that none of the tags are showing here, right? So you're not seeing the city and state. The reason for that is inside my base site, I don't have Austin or the city and state filled out here. So typically what we do with the service oriented or service area businesses that are you leveraging the near me, the base site will be the main city you want to target. So if your location's in Austin, Texas, you're going to want to put your address and city and state on the base site. In this case, I'm just going to put Austin, Texas. And when I come out here to this site now, it's going to fill in that Austin, Texas throughout everywhere we optimize, from the title tags to the metastructure, everywhere within the site. However, we're going to want to deploy additional cities, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do next. So now that you have that set up, your base site has a domain on it. You're going to want to come back out here to templates, click on funnels, and then you're going to click in this menu option here, and you're going to select deploy near me. Once you select deploy near me, you have several options. So the prefix name, all this is your internal name. So you can see how I did near me demo. This is what you're going to have before the city and state. So in this case, I would do just near me demo. Now every site that's created is going to apply the city and state after it, just for organization purposes. In this case, I'm going to do Texas. So I'm going to do TX. I'm going to put in my cities. Why don't we do Houston, and we'll do Dallas. So this is all separated, by the way. You're going to want to separate by a new line, not by comma. So you can put as many cities as you want in here. If you leave the city section blank and just put state, that'll actually go out and get all the cities in a specific state and deploy them all for you. So it's very powerful if you use that feature functionality. However, you may have little townships or ones that are not, necessarily a full-blown city based on what we pull from. So you may want to prepare your list of cities. Just make sure you have the state and cities in this box here. Now, you may not want to apply the state in your URL. Just so you know, when we create this actually creates the URL within the site. If you leave the state blank and you just have Houston and Dallas, then your URL will not apply the Texas inside the actual URL. That's a strategy you may want to do. However, it's up to you. As long as you have the state applied here, this will be in your URL and, of course, your city. If you leave the city blank, then it will deploy all cities within that state. So domain type, you're going to want to select either folder or subdomain. So there's a lot of experience that I have with this over the years. I would say if your domain has really good authority, you're not starting from scratch. There's been a lot of SEO done on your domain. You will benefit from a folder-based optimization. All this means is that it would be yourdomain.com/tx/Austin or /Austin or /Houston. It sits within your domain. That's beneficial because now the weight of your site, as many pages you have, especially when I'm going to show you how to index these and submit to Google, all of that stuff is within the single domain. However, you may prefer a subdomain strategy. There's a lot of benefit to that as far as like organization purposes and things like that and how you share those URLs. But as far as starting, if you're starting with a brand new domain and you've never done any backlinks or any type of content strategy with it, doesn't matter if you start with a subdomain or folder. Over time, I've seen them both rank just as strong, comparable. But completely up to you on what you want to do. I'm going to do folder based in this example. So here's my domain name, right? So it automatically pulls that. I could overwrite this domain name if I wanted. So for instance, if I want a different domain name, but I want to use this base site, I don't necessarily have to use the domain name that's associated with my base site. But I'm just going to keep nearme.wayneindustries.live as a domain. And of course, you can apply this to a workspace and keep everything organized inside that workspace. So now I'm just going to hit add. And what this does is it adds the funnels to the queue. So this queue runs every 5 minutes, and when you'll know when it's done, you'll get a notification, but you can actually just come in here to your CMS and funnels, and you'll start seeing them populated. So I'm going to wait for this to run, and I'll be right back, and we will continue this training. Okay, depending on how many sites you're deploying, if you're deploying, a full state or multiple states, Once they're added to the queue, it runs really quickly to build out all these sites. So if you don't have a whole lot of sites, they're, within a minute, you'll see them in here. And so in this case, my sites have already been deployed. Now these are live and all set up. So you can go to the domain section and grab your domains. If you know the format, you can just go quickly out to that domain and take a look at it. In this case, I did state and city. So I have tx/Houston. And so if I were to go out to that site, you would now see the site that we created all optimized for Houston. Now you'll notice a couple of things within here as far as when it creates the pages and how you get to those pages. So there's several different options. You can keep everything within that site. So if you do folder based, there's a couple of things that you want to make sure that you do on your linking strategy for your domain. If you're doing subdomain, don't need to worry about this because you're stuck on that individual URL, that subdomain. You would have to actually remove that subdomain and go into the main domain to get out of. So for instance, if you're doing like houston.wayneindustries.live, this linking strategy is not necessary because they'll always be in that Houston site unless they manipulate or change out their URL, right? In this case, because it's folder based, if you were linking to just like the / or just the services folder, it would take you to the main site services. It wouldn't keep you within TX Houston. And so to keep your visitor from going to your main base site and staying within the city level site. So for instance, if I click on services, I'm right here under services. I'm not services after .live. I've stayed within my city. To do that, inside your base site, you need to apply our domain tag to your links. So for instance, instead of having / here, because that would be no good. And there may be some places within your site, you want all your local sites to link to the main homepage of your site. That's good internal linking, obviously passing, authority from internal sites to or internal pages to your main page. So there are certain links within your site you would want to do that. But for your navigation, if you want to keep your visitor who found your local site in Houston on the Houston site and not going to your main base site when they click on the navigation, you're going to want to use the domain tag. And so our domain tag is just like all the other tags, and you can find these tags within our knowledge base, but you would apply the domain tag instead of the / And what happens there is actually it'll deploy the Houston URL in that spot. So that goes for your internal pages too. So in this case, services. One thing to note, because the domain is actually a / right? So here, if I ever were to remove this, there's a / here, right? So as you build out your link hierarchy, you want to take that into consideration. So you would put domain without a / services / And so that would link to my internal page. And this just gives you the freedom of really controlling all of your links. Instead of having like a dynamic, automatically generating links for you, you can control where you want these links to go inside your navigation. And that's just the format when you're setting up and optimizing. Just like a local tag, you need to put some thought on how you're going to do your internal linking with the system. If you're using folders, if you're using subdomains for your local sites, you don't need to do this. However, we are using folders, and so I've applied this domain here so you can link properly and keep the visitor within that site. One thing to note, much like when you deploy the near me sites, any change that you make to this base template is pushed down to all of your child sites. However, it's done within a queuing system, just like the actual creation of your site, which runs every minute. So as long as a change happens on your base site, so if I were to change anything here, maybe I want to add in another tag here, or I need to make a design change. When I hit save here, this cron or this automation to deploy out to all your local sites happens in a minute. So every minute it runs. So in this case, my change is done instantly on the main site. So it's here. But if I were to go out to my local site, the change has not been made yet. And so once that system runs, it pulls from the queue, which is the next minute from now, it'll start updating all your local sites. And so if you have 36,000 sites or, thousands upon thousands of sites, that change will happen pretty quickly. In most cases, it's instant, but it does take a minute to run. So in this case, a minute has came and gone. And so now Houston is here, right? So, just make note when you're making changes to your base site, just check the base site. If the change is there, it's going to push down to your local site at some point, and it runs every minute and it's pretty quick. So now you have everything set up and you can go out and start pulling in, indexing techniques. The best one to start with is actually just telling Google about these new sites. So in our system, if you were to do just sitemap after your URL, so if I were to come over here and just /sitemap, this is going to pull in the sitemap of my main URL, whatever URL I'm in. This is going to be my sitemap, right? My main domain and my services page. But you want to be able to tell Google that you have all these local sites and all these additional pages. And so the Near Me page here is your sitemap for this part of it, but you also have another sitemap, and that sitemap is you're going to submit two. You're going to submit one for your main domain, and then you're going to submit a second one for all your local sites. And so you just use your local sitemap, and this will actually create a sitemap for every single page on every single local city that you create. So first step to get those indexed is to actually tell Google about them. Very effective way of getting all of your pages indexed. The next strategy that I use to really get these indexed is I would create a service-oriented page and have that page link out. And typically what I do is I write an article, in this case, why hire a reliable contractor or the benefits of hiring a professional contractor. And then on that page, I would have the links to the city and state, the city sites that you have set up. And you can do that in the footer too. If you're only targeting maybe 15, 20 different sites or cities, you can put service areas. You can also have a drop down here with those individual cities listed out. So there's just good ways of indexing in your internal sites, but right out of the gate, use your sitemap. Use your sitemap that you have for your main URL. Use a sitemap for the local sites, and these things will get indexed really, really quick. So that's it. This is the bare bones training on using the Near Me technology. When you get more familiar with the custom tags and what you can do with it and your possibilities of configuring dynamic content across these networks, and you start leveraging the system to either build lead gen networks, and then you start moving into more personalization, such as what you would want with a franchise. So you'd have more customization on a local level, maybe local information about their area, maybe local photos and things like that. You may move into offering agent organizations the ability for them to quickly make changes, such as adding their logo or their profile image and things like that. So in the other trainings, you'll see more advanced stuff that you can do. But at the root of it, if you're a service-oriented business, you can either build the website within our platform or import your website, apply the tags, apply your domain, push the Near Me deployment option, pick your cities, and now you have digital touch points or hyperlocal websites out there focusing on generating leads for you in the cities that you otherwise are not visible today.